that so far who's here?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here for like the 6th or 7th meeting we've had on the Port Covington. This is the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee. I'm Carl Stokes. I'm the chair of the committee. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a quick voting session that is not Port Covington related. We did hear a bill earlier this morning, and that is City Council Bill 16-0723. But let me continue with the introductions first. To my immediate left is Councilman Bill Henry, 4th Council District, Vice Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
To his left is Councilwoman Helen Holton of the 8th Council District and also a member of the committee. To her left is Councilman Ed Reisinger, who is a 10th District Councilperson, not a 10th District Councilperson, the 10th District Councilperson. And to his left is our president, Jack Young. And I'm going to do this later, but I just want to thank right now President Young for his being very stalwart through all of this. And had President Young not allowed me, frankly, room to negotiate, we would not be as far along as we are tonight. So, Council President, this is a personal as well as a professional thank you. Next to him is Councilman Eric Costello, who is representing the 9th District? 11th, I'm sorry. It's the end of my term. I'm trying to throw stuff out of my head. And Councilman Costello, of course, represents the area where the actual Port Covington acreage is. And next to him is the lioness, the deaness of our city council. And thank you, Councilwoman Spector, for all of the years of mentorship. We appreciate that. Councilwoman Ricky Spector, Councilwoman of the 5th District, and Councilwoman, so 2 spaces away to my right is Councilman Warren Branch, who is a member of this committee, and thank you, sir. Next to him is Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark of the 14th Council District, who's with us, and to my immediate right is Jennifer Coates, who is staff to the committee. Let me just thank you. Just quick housekeeping. We're asking you to either turn off or place your cell phones on vibrate. We're also want you to know that the restrooms are on the lower level of the building. So we have a quick, see that? We have a quick voting session from a bill that we heard earlier this morning, which is Bill 16-0723, which is a minority and women's business enterprise, small local business enterprise procurement preferences. We had a full hearing on that today, so we will not hear it again, but there were a number of amendments that we need. Just one amendment? Okay, so would you give the committee members the amendment? Do you have that to give? And then explain it for us too, Councilwoman. Thank you. We have them.
Did you get your amendment?
I did not get any amendment.
It should be.
Is it under?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is one amendment, and the amendment is to change the effective date of the bill to follow the charter amendment that will be on the ballot in November, so that we are not usurping the power of the Board of Estimates by adopting this program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would I have a motion to move the amendment?
Second.
Thank you. So moved and seconded. Motion, I'm sorry, we'll vote now on the amendment only. Councilman Stokes votes yes. Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Branch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilwoman Holton?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Reisinger? Thank you. There were 5 yeas, no nos, no abstentions, no absences. Now we will have a motion to vote on the bill as amended.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Councilman Stokes is a yay. Councilman Henry?
Yay.
Yay. Councilman Branch? Yay. Councilwoman Holton?
Yes.
She had to be yes. Councilman Reisinger? Yes. Thank you so much. So the bill as amended passed unanimously. It will be on second reader Monday morning. I'm sorry, Monday afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now to the main event is my
The undercard is done.
right. Keep those smelling salts handy. And so we're now going to talk about the Port Covington TIF. There are 3 bills that we have before us. We've read them over on several occasions, and we're going to talk about them tonight. We're going to talk particularly about the MOU that is proposed and that was announced earlier this afternoon. And then we're going to have council members express questions, concerns, comments as they care to do. We will have a short, a few minutes of general comments, and then we hopefully will go into a voting session before the evening is over. Let me just say a few quick things. They will be quick, given that we started late. The Port Covington TIF is obviously, as it is, a very important project that is before us in this council. I certainly can speak not only to the TIF, but I can speak to the pros and cons of doing it. I think certainly in early U.S., not very early U.S., but about 50 years ago when we started the whole TIF special taxing agreements, pardon me, and districts. They really were to incentivize development in the most vulnerable of communities. In some places, particularly Baltimore, I will say that, in my opinion, that we have misused this particular tool, and that we have given it to the wealthiest and have not done what it was meant to do, which is to incentivize development in the most vulnerable of communities. Having said that, I am a supporter of this particular TIF for a number of reasons, one of which, beyond the vision of it all, is that Baltimore City starts out on a very uneven playing field by its inordinately high tax rate. And so there is certainly a rationale for incentivizing even wealthy development in this town, given that we are there. And then, drawing it quickly to a close, as I said earlier, I do want to, again, thank President Young. I know where his heart has been all along with this, and it is for the citizens of this city. I'm his chair, he's given me that, and I'm probably the council member who gives him the most heart pain, even though personally we are the closest of friends. But I appreciate the fact that he's allowed this process to happen in the way it has happened, which has allowed the public to be very, very engaged, and this process to be very transparent over the last 4 months. So I do appreciate him on that. I also, I gotta say that I wanna thank Sagamore. I know that's hard to hear, but I do want to thank Sagamore because the developer, more than the city, has brought us to a good place in terms of the citizens. My colleague, the president and CEO of BDC, said, "You don't really have to beat us up tonight, do you?" And I said, yeah, I pretty much do. But I'll still love you after 10 o'clock tonight. I think that the administration and BDC did not do as well by bringing us a bill that really sided with the developer, which is not a bad thing and no fault to the developer, but it did not weigh in strongly enough with the citizens of the city of Baltimore. I feel, and I've said it, I also know that there were too many times that I felt like my friends at BDC were playing peekaboo with me, hide and seek with me, that I'd be asking questions and they would only answer directly the question when they knew that there was a fuller answer that maybe I didn't know what I was asking for exactly, but instead of giving me that fuller answer, they decided not to. Not to mention that I've asked over and over and over and over and over again for the profit sharing agreement, which I still have not received as we speak tonight. And then I'd like to thank Build Up, Port 3, Liuna, and all of the other community advocates, including SB6, who have taken this to a great place. As you know, this is, and I say this facetiously somewhat, this is the best we've ever done. But the bar was so low that we could have almost done anything, and it would have been the best we've ever done. I say it somewhat facetiously, but I still am saying it in a very congratulatory way to those groups I named and to the developer. You really did an outstanding job of sitting and talking. I remember some 3 or 4 weeks ago when I requested that folk get back together in a room and have a conversation, and I'm going to tell on everybody. I got a couple of calls from a couple of different places at the developers and said, okay, we'll meet with so-and-so, but we ain't never meeting with Build, never. And we ain't giving them nothing. I said, okay, all right, we'll be here another 3-4 months, but who is sitting at the table together almost hand in hand but Sagamore and Build, and God bless you. All right, so neither one of them talk to me anymore, but at least I got them together, huh? No, I'm teasing. So thank you. I'm sorry for my attempt at levity in a very serious matter this evening. Thank you, Councilman. So we're going to begin, and we're going to begin with having the MOU explained to us in with as much detail and attention as possible. I don't just want a summary, frankly, and I guess you didn't bring a big screen, but I would like for you to talk through it so that we're all hearing what's going on. The folk who are here, who it really impacts, and of course, the council members before you. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman, thank you very much to you for your leadership. Council President Young, thank you to your leadership and for your team who have been extraordinary to work with. We also thank all the other members of the committee and the other members of the council. And we thank our community partners. You know, the councilman joked, but this has not been an easy process. And it's not been an easy process because it's important. And important and great things take time and take work. And we have arrived at what can only be described as an extraordinary commitment to the city of Baltimore. And we're extremely proud of that. I'm going to take you, sir, if I may, through the financial highlights. For those who don't know, I'm Tom Geddes. I'm the CEO of Plank Industries. I've been working very hard on this project in recent months. Our team has been working on it for much longer in great detail. The commitment that we're making to the city of Baltimore, over and above the billions in private investment and the thousands upon thousands of jobs that this will bring to Baltimore City is a community benefits commitment unprecedented by far in the history of our city. The most recent TIF community benefits agreement was for $4 million, contingent on a number of milestones being reached over a period of time. Our commitment today is for over $100 million. There's a reason why we're making this investment in Baltimore City and not somewhere else, not a nearby county, not a nearby state, not a faraway state. There's a reason. And the main reason for that is that we want a positive impact on the residents of Baltimore City. To that end, through intense and long negotiations and through an extraordinary commitment from our team and especially from Kevin Plank, we have agreed with the South Baltimore 6 communities to fund $39 million of investment into those communities, and the community themselves will decide how and when, in partnership with us, those dollars are deployed to fix neighborhoods, to fix streets, to fix schools, to build rec centers, to make those communities greater than they are today. I mentioned the jobs. Jobs are the number one priority of this project. Jobs are the number one impact of this project. With that said, on the philanthropic side, on the community commitment side, we are committing to $25 million for workforce development, to build a training center, to work with existing great workforce development providers in the city of Baltimore, to get our residents back to work, residents who are ready to work and residents who need help to get ready to work. In addition to that, we are contributing $1.5 million to YouthWorks to fund 100 jobs, summer jobs per year for 10 years. We doubled this commitment, Mr. Council President, at your request over the original commitment that we made. We're funding a local hiring coordinator within the Mayor's Office of Employment. We are committing $10 million to a fund to invest in minority businesses inside the Baltimore City limits. This fund will have larger investments for businesses that are established and growing and hiring. But it's a fact that of the thousands of businesses in Baltimore City, a large percentage only have one employee. So if we can help many of those thousands of businesses hire one more employee, we're having a real impact. So there will be a microloan fund administered by the city, by BDC, to provide small, I'm talking about loans of $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $30,000 at 0% interest to help minority-owned small businesses hire and grow. In addition, we are funding education, after-school programs, and other citywide priorities. We have $7.7 million, which will be allocated over time to those priorities, but immediately and up front, $1 million will be allocated to the College Bound Foundation to get Baltimore City public school kids who are ready for college and need just a little more money and help to get there, make it possible for them to get there. We will also be funding younger kids, Head Start programs, and programs for young kids to get into good community schools where they can get the start they need in life. We are committing $3 million. Let me back up. Critical to this is accountability. Critical to this is that what's on paper here today and what's said today happens over the years and decades to come. As one piece of this is the partners that we have at our table. We know they'll be watching. Another piece of this is that we are going to commit $3 million to fund a city auditor to monitor minority business, women-owned business compliance, to issue reports to make sure that we, our partners, our contractors, and our subcontractors are meeting the goals that are set forth, the mandates that are set forth in this document. It's worth noting that the value of the land which was acquired privately and which will now become city property through the course of this project, roads, right-of-ways, streets, parks, public spaces, is at a cost value of $35.4 million. That is not in the $100 million number I mentioned. Also not in the $100 million number is the commitment to housing, which will be described shortly. Also not in there is any of the philanthropy that Under Armour, which I believe did 15,000 hours of community service in Baltimore City in the last 3 years, which commits millions of dollars to fields and courts, which is a wonderful community partner. None of those dollars are included in this agreement. Where's our security?
right, listen. Listen. I need your security. They're probably downstairs.
That's not the reaction I expected for a $100 million commitment to Baltimore City.
Keep speaking. Keep speaking.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Well, hold on. So, listen to me. We're going to give you a chance to speak. But if you'd rather not have it, that's okay also. Mr. Geddes.
Thanks, sir.
And would folk please not applaud or appreciate that? This is not quite the State of the Union. So we're asking that we, thank you.
Thank you, sir. To summarize, the total of $100 million is divided 60%, 40% between citywide priorities and 40% the SB6 community initiatives. It is usual for a community benefits agreement like this to be agreed with only the most local community that's most immediately affected. There's a reason why we did that first, and the reason why we put such substantial commitments behind it. But we understand and acknowledge that this is a citywide issue. The positive economic impact will be felt citywide, it will be enormous citywide, and we wanted to make sure that we had, and you wanted to make sure, sir, that we had commitments that went citywide, which is why of the $100 million, 60% or $60 million will be impacting folks across the great city of Baltimore. And for your leadership, for your partnership on this, we're extraordinarily grateful. And with that, I would like to ask Reverend Huber to comment, if you'd like to.
Mr. Geddes, did you, I'm not sure, but all members have what Mr. Geddes is speaking to? Does everyone have the MOU before you? Do you have copies of the MOU?
Do we have enough copies? Looking at mine. Of the summary?
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm the Reverend Glenna Huber, clergy co-chair of BUILD. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Earlier today, I stated that it is a brand new day. To sit at table after days of negotiations and to be able to reflect on where we started with the Port Covington Community Benefits Agreement to where we have ultimately landed, BUILD can unequivocally say that today is a brand new day. We have gone from promises to commitments. We have moved from goals to mandates. We have moved from feel-good reality, from an island of success to an engine that places us firmly on the path to build one Baltimore and to build it together. We support the work and negotiations of SB6, and we know that downtown, waterfront, uptown, and the neighborhoods that have felt long forgotten will benefit in substantial ways from the Port Covington development. So we are here together to announce that it is a brand new day. It is a brand new day in Baltimore City because no longer will business be as usual when it comes to development. For generations, Baltimore's downtown has been developed with hollow and non-binding uptown promises. It's a brand new day when downtown developers and uptown leaders come to the table not requesting handouts, not engaging in shakedowns, and not walking away with empty promises. There are clear interests and terms that we have defined to build one Baltimore together. We BUILD thanks Tom Geddes, Mark Weller, and the entire Sagamore development team. We sat together, we struggled together, and then in good faith, we negotiated around each entity's interests. And again, we stand firm in the knowledge that what we negotiated is the best for the whole city. Hear me when I say this is not a panacea. It is not everything that we wanted, but that is the nature of negotiation. You don't
Reverend,
get
Reverend,
everything
Reverend,
you want.
you're
These are
speaking to the committee.
Yes, sir.
Bring
We
the-
have a solid framework from
Bring
now
the mic
which
closer.
we can work
Bring the mic closer,
to
please.
judge
Bring the
future
mic
TIF.
closer, please. Thank you. And to all speakers, you're speaking to the committee.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And can I say something? Please show respect.
You may have to go back there.
Back to the back.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Reverend, go
Mary
ahead.
Pat, I demand it's
Go ahead. As we're televising, I need you to keep the mic closer
Yes,
than you
sir.
might think you need it. So
This is
that,
not a panacea. This is not
Okay.
everything we wanted. This is the nature of negotiations. We had a solid framework now from which to judge future TIF requests. With the combined efforts of Port 3, Build Up and Build, there would not have been a successful slowdown of the process, and there would not have been a negotiation as it has culminated. Council President Young and Committee Chair Carl Stokes, we thank you for your efforts to slow down the process and for forcing us to the negotiation table. Together, we have set a precedent for all future development, a precedent where leaders from the corporate community, the faith community, elected officials, neighborhood leaders can cast a vision, confront one another around our differences, name our common self-interest, and then work together to achieve the vision of building one Baltimore together. We have a long way to go. We have much more to achieve, but this is a solid start. This is a firm foundation. We have the capacity, we have the passion, and the desire to begin this brand new day and build one Baltimore together. Thank you.
thank you. Ms. Paff?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name's Caroline Paff. I'm with Sagamore Development.
Yeah, we really need your outside voice. Thank you.
Oh, no, you don't. So I'm going to start with housing and then move to jobs, and Alicia will follow up on some of the larger commitments. The amended MOU doubles Sagamore's inclusionary housing commitment to require that SDC provides income-restricted residential units equal to 20% of all residential units at Port Covington. The original MOU was 10%. At least 60% of these units...
You have to speak louder.
At least 60% of these units must be provided on-site, while the balance, the other 40%, may be developed off-site to address affordable housing needs in other city neighborhoods. Our commitment addresses units at 60%, 50%, and 30% of area median income. Sagamore is committed to seek low-income housing tax credits to develop units affordable to households at or below 60% of area median income, with a portion, at least 5%, of the units affordable at or below 50% of AMI. The 50% units were added as part of the negotiation, the recent negotiation. I'll just give a very quick overview of the income limits. We've agreed to 10% of the units being constructed at 30% AMI, 5% of the units would be constructed for 50% or below. The remainder would be constructed for 60 to 80%. We are required to seek tax credits, which would then require a 60% or below area median income. And if we did not receive the tax credits, we may opt to build 80% units at our own expense. If on-site affordable units cannot be constructed on a financially reasonable basis, Sagamore must make payments to the city's Inclusionary Housing Offset Fund in the amounts from $40,000 to $60,000 per unit. For off-site units, the range would be $30,000 to $50,000 per unit until the city and Sagamore profit sharing would kick in. In that event, if Sagamore begins to realize a profit over hurdles, the payment in lieu for units off-site would then raise to 40 to 60%. In addition, to development and financial obligations, we've made additional commitments on affordable housing. We agreed to targeted marketing. Sagamore will affirmatively market affordable residential units constructed in the new Port Covington to Baltimore City households who are considered least likely to apply for such units, including those on the Section 8 waiting list, families with children who utilize a housing choice voucher, and families with children whose incomes are at or below 50% of AMI, but who do not use a housing choice voucher. We've also looked at the importance of developing a mixed income community and avoiding additional concentrations of poverty, both in Port Covington and with any off-site construction. We not only will have mixed income buildings, we are committing to mixed income buildings and neighborhoods inside the new Port Covington, but we'll also be working with our partners at Build to ensure that we create a list of, with a preference for areas of opportunity and neighborhoods where folks would like to have access to residential, affordable residential units. There are some people on our team who have personal commitment to this particular objective. We also understand that there is an urgency to getting some of these units constructed. Sagamore has committed that while vertical development at Port Covington may take some while infrastructure is built, within 24 months after approval of the TIF bills, Sagamore will start its first off-site affordable housing project.
Very good.
I will move on to discuss the workforce training initiatives.
Let me mention before you go on, sort of parenthetically, that the chair believes that the $140 million in parks and amenities is excessive. I don't believe I had the political will to pull it away from the TIF, so I didn't take that fight on. But I do believe it's excessive. And I would ask you, as has been mentioned before, to consider using part of those funds for affordable housing. Go ahead.
Thank you. In the MOU, we have also increased our local and targeted hiring commitments. The amended MOU provides new commitments in the areas of local hiring, apprenticeship programs, and minimum wages, and provides for the creation of a workforce opportunities center at Port Covington and a local hiring committee to monitor local hiring performance. As Tom Geddes mentioned, part of our commitment is $25 million to workforce development initiatives. This is all on top of our, commitment earlier to the 51% local hiring law for Baltimore City. The Workforce Development Training Center will be funded and operated to focus on workforce education, job training, retention, and recruitment for the new Port Covington. The Workforce Opportunities Center will facilitate hiring of Baltimore City residents. We believe strongly that when these folks actually get through a training program, you don't just get a certificate, you get a job. So we have committed that 12% of all worker hours on site will be allotted to apprentices and graduates of apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs. We will also ask our contractors to achieve a 20% goal within 5 years to ensure that people who are coming through the pipeline of this Workforce Development Center do have a job and a paycheck at the end of their training period. Sagamore will work to ensure that 25% of apprentice work is performed by workers with barriers to employment, and there's a definition in the MOU for this that includes, among other things, chronic unemployment, homelessness, those with criminal records, out-of-work youth, and returning veterans. Jobs are important, but a solid wage has to go along with the opportunity. Sagamore has agreed to establish a minimum wage for all tradesmen and tradeswomen working on the infrastructure project. This will be $17.48 per hour plus benefits and or additional pay of $5.93 per hour. Coincidentally, this is the minimum wage also on the laborer's local 710 wage scale. In addition to the wages captured in the MOU, 2 unions have reached agreements on prevailing wage packages applying to 50%, a minimum of 50% of the infrastructure project. And we've left the door open, invited the other locals to walk through it, to meet with us, and to discuss the opportunities that we will have on the infrastructure project. We have agreed to, and this is important, this is one of those things that BUILD asked us for. Councilman Stokes, Chairman Stokes, you asked us for this, and it was central to the workforce discussion, was agreeing to a local hiring mandate, not just a goal on the infrastructure, but a mandate on this good work. And we did agree to that mandate of 30%. All worker hours on site will be performed by Baltimore City residents, in addition to the 51% local hiring law. We like it too. We've also established a goal, and we're looking into the future. We did establish a goal and also a mechanism to achieve. We're going to work to exceed a 30% Baltimore City residents' employment participation in permanent jobs in Sagamore's development and its buildings. And we will use mechanisms like requiring tenants in Sagamore buildings to advertise first in our Port Covington Workforce Opportunity Center. It is a first source hiring program, but it's one of the things that we believe is an amenity to folks looking to open businesses in Baltimore City, and we're excited to have the opportunity to promote that and connect Baltimore City residents with jobs in the permanent job force. So I'm going to hand this over to, do you have any questions on the workforce commitment?
We'll wait for your full presentation.
Great, I will hand this over to Alicia.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we are committed to, as Tom Geddes started out, to ensuring that not only our businesses...
For the record.
Oh, for the record, Alicia Wilson, Vice President of Community Affairs and Legal Advisor to Sagamore Development. To ensuring that minority, women, and small businesses in Baltimore not only survive but thrive, and that we can be a partner in that. The $10 million Venture and Equity Fund is nothing to sneeze at. But more importantly, the 0% loan fund to small businesses, Baltimore entrepreneurs, ensures that they can have work that these contractors will have work and professional service providers with Port Covington and with Sagamore Development, but will also be able to grow as this development grows. Above and beyond what the original MBE-WBE MOU set forth, we have also invested in a minority and women-owned business expansion program, and we've also broadened that to also include Section 3 businesses. And Section 3 businesses, as you know, are businesses for those individuals that find themselves in public housing but have an idea and want to start a business and help it grow. We really want to partner with such individuals to help them not only get jobs, but ownership and to build wealth as we grow. We also have already begun to, and this is a new commitment, to provide technical assistance to support businesses with the certification processes, the contract readiness, contracting partnerships, and access and notification of project opportunities. And as I've said in prior hearings, on Monday we'll have our first such event centered around minority and women-owned businesses, helping them to understand what the process and sort of demystifying that process for them. We've also agreed to give discount retail and office space for small businesses so that they can have a place there in Port Covington. We have also worked on investment in public art and making sure that trying to address food desert issues across the city through the investment that we're making. I will now turn to the education commitment that we have made and how we plan to address that. The amended MOU requires Sagamore Development to work with Baltimore City Public Schools and other stakeholders to improve the available educational resources in surrounding communities. In addition, we are committed to working with the city to pass legislation in the General Assembly to protect educational funding, and the Department of Finance to mitigate any negative impacts on educational funding that would result from the issuance of TIF bonds. Sagamore Development will not request any TIF bonds to be issued if there is a projected negative impact on state education funding for Baltimore City schools, unless there is a plan, or method to mitigate that projected negative impact.
Is that your full presentation?
I'd now like to turn it over to Reverend Andrew Foster Connors to
Okay,
speak.
great.
Thank you, Andrew Foster Connors, clergy co-chair of BUILD. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, most importantly, for forcing us to the negotiating table. I just want to reinforce what you just heard. We have moved from a 20% goal, a strive to meet a goal on local hiring, to a 30% mandate on all worker hours for the entire infrastructure phase of the project. We're talking 10 to 12 years of commitments to hire Baltimoreans to fulfill those jobs. And we see that as a center point of this agreement. That means that the developer, Sagamore Development, and all the people, all the contractors that they use are going to be on the hook to meet that goal. And that means that the $25 million that they're going to invest in this workforce development center, they're going to have to make that work because they've got a mandate that they have to meet. And when they make that work, we're going to be ready for those permanent jobs. So, on the affordable housing, we're talking about 1,000 units of affordable housing. And I just want to put this in context. Obviously, we came as on the other side of the table with Sagamore. We sat down, we negotiated in good faith, and we believe we've come with an agreement, an unprecedented agreement in our city, and frankly, an unprecedented agreement across the country for what it looks like for a developer who says they want to serve the community to actually make commitments to do so. So we're pleased to be able to share in that role. Thank you for your role, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. City Council President, for your role and for all those. Also want to thank Councilman Costello, who was in many of those discussions as well.
Thank you.
Bishop Douglas Miles, former co-chair of the BUILD organization. Mr. Chairman, members of this committee, members of the council, and to all gathered to this evening, I sit here as a living witness of the first $2 million that was invested in Inner Harbor development. I've witnessed every development deal that has been brokered in this city over those 50 years. And I sit here tonight to say to you that this is a new day in Baltimore. Never again will downtown Baltimore benefit to the exclusion of uptown Baltimore. Never again will a developer come to this table with empty promises, but will have to come to this table making firm commitments to the citizens of Baltimore. And while this deal is not perfect, it's a long way from where we started. And everybody who had any input in creating this new MOU ought to pat themselves on the back for the labor they put in, for the strength they gave to this effort, and for the paradigm shift that's taking place in the city of Baltimore. We will build Port Covington and build one Baltimore together.
You good?
Mr. Chairman, we're good. I just wanted to echo something Kevin Plank said, which is firstly to thank you, and secondly to say that there's a reason we're doing this in Baltimore City. We want to live in Baltimore, hire in Baltimore, grow in Baltimore, and give in Baltimore, and we thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Geddes. Let me mention again, two pieces here. One is that those who were at the table for 8 straight days and prior to that, whether it be Port 3, Build Up, Lyuna, other organizations, or all of the organizations that make up the groups, you got us here also. Much of what you've asked for is there. Not necessarily all of what you asked for, obviously, but much of what you asked for is still there. I'm asking you not to leave the table. I'm asking you to come back into the room. I'm asking you, I know that the window is still open. So I'm asking you for us to continue. In the immediate, not long term, not years from now, but immediately to continue this conversation. The agreement is not yet signed. We should continue the conversation. Let me also mention, and I don't mind saying it, you got a great team here, but I gotta be telling you that part of the reason why I'm okay is because I do believe in Kevin Plank's goodwill. I'm counting on his goodwill. I don't usually give that, but I think Kevin has proven over the years that he's been a part of Baltimore, that he is a contributor. He made a mistake and left a Jesuit school, but that's another story. But only we know about that. But having said that, again, I will stop with the faux levity, as John would say. I do want to also give kudos to Kevin, and you'll tell him that, or not tell him that, but okay, thank you. Council members, I'd like to hear if you have any questions or concerns or comments for the Sagamore or Build team. I'll have a short comments from the general public, but I do ask if you have anything? Nothing?
I'll wait for it.
Okay. Let me mention, there are 2 items for Carl, for the chair, that are still hanging out there. Education. I am not yet satisfied with the wording of the hold harmless for education. I know that we're saying that you won't get a next round of bonds if there's a negative impact on education, but that does not cure the deficit that may be there for education. I want those funds reimbursed, however it happens, and I frankly need wording that says that. The second piece is that I feel strongly that the citizens of Baltimore deserve a very strong profit-sharing agreement, a very strong profit-sharing agreement. We, the taxpayer, will be the ones who 100% improve the value of the land before the vertical. We, the citizens, will be providing $140 million in parks and amenities, et cetera. We will be putting in the streets, the lamps, the trees, et cetera. It is very important to us that we receive a fair value if you guys decide to flip that land before the vertical. And I am very happy what we have proposed. Those two items are not items that I'm putting on the table at the 11th hour. These are items that I've asked about and wanted and said, we gotta have it. Let me say that if you guys do not give us the wording, I will write the amendments for the bill and ask my colleagues to approve the amended bill. You would rather have it in the CBA. I understand that. I am asking you again to please honor the chair's request, not a personal request, but the chair's request on those two items, or I will write it and I will ask my colleagues to amend the bill. Madam President, I'm not Madam President, but Mary Pat, did you have something you wanted to? Go ahead. Oh, you're
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee and the council. I did have 2 amendments to the bill, but the law department decided, as has been the case, that they were not legally sufficient. They were, and instead I have a resolution that I would ask if this committee, of which I'm not a member, would consider supporting. They have no legislative weight, but it would be an indication of the committee's concerns. And thank you to Sagamore and to the committee and to all who have worked so hard to come as far as we have. And I'll give you copies of these. Let me just read what the 4 resolutions are and ask if this committee would consider supporting them. 1, prevailing wage for all building trade workers engaged in TIF infrastructure construction projects. I think we've come a long way. The $23 that you are now making a commitment to begins to meet the needs of the painters, now I'm not speaking for them, Lord knows, but for the laborers, etc. And you're on the right track, but I hope you will consider moving up the track to reflect all of the trades represented on your construction site. Second, I don't have much time, everybody. Let me get through this. Thank you. Pursuit of a project labor agreement including union and non-union contractors, which enables the mechanisms for quality assurance and accountability in partnering the building trades workforce with project development leadership. 3rd out of 4, living wage. I told the story the first time we met. I won't tell it again, about handshakes and agreements. Living wage requirements, this is what is recommended in this resolution. For all individuals employed in full-time and part-time jobs at Port Covington, both during and beyond the TIF repayment period or until a local minimum wage law exceeds the wage rate of the living wage requirement. This is the city that invented living wage. This is a site that is being held up as the city on a hill, and as such, surely the people who work there, whether they be cashiers at a local deli or the electricians on a construction site, should earn living and prevailing wages. That's very important. And finally, in my resolution, I would ask for universal, site-wide labor peace and labor's right to organize. I would like, would you second me? Could you second? I would like to move this resolution. I can't move this resolution. I would ask for if someone on the committee would move it, and if someone might second it.
Okay. I would like to, hold on, I would like to hold any action on this until a little later in the hearing when we're actually pulling the bills over to, okay? Thank you. Councilman, did you want to speak now or no? Okay, thank you. All right, we will now take some limited testimony on what we've heard in terms of the pending MOU. I have Marcelina White to come up, please. Marcelina, would you sit here? We'll pass a mic over. Marcelina, are you here? Marceline, I'm sorry. Is Ms. White here? Okay, all right. Shouldn't be signing up people who are on their way. Monisha? Would you pass that over, please? And again, I'm asking we speak to the MOU, proposed MOU. All right? Thank you.
Good evening to the committee.
You're going to speak a lot louder.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Monisha Chirail from the Public Justice Center. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. When we were last before the council on August 23rd, all of the coalitions present today emphasized, and the committee agreed, that the requirement for affordable housing at Port Covington must exceed 10% of all development, must be mandatory, must serve households at all incomes, including the poorest among us, in an inclusionary way. Our concern is that the community benefits agreement presented today addresses these fundamental, broadly supported demands only in a superficial way. It still does not meaningfully require that Sagamore ensure the development of affordable housing at Port Covington in the way described. And I have 5 specific concerns that I'd like to walk through. First, the new version, the community benefits agreement as to housing simply amends the city's April 20th MOU, and in doing so, it retains the same gaping loophole that existed in that MOU. It allows the developer to buy its way out of the affordable housing set-aside by paying a trivial fee. So under Part 6 of the MOU, the developer may avoid its obligation to develop affordable housing by making a payment in lieu for each affordable unit it's supposed to develop and doesn't develop. You heard about that a little bit. That payment in lieu under the CBA, as you heard, is $30,000 to $60,000 per unit of affordable housing not built. The problem is that the MOU, both originally and under the CBA, at least as we've seen it summarized, allows the developer to offset that payment in lieu by the entire cost of any affordable units it does develop, which is $172,000 per unit, several times larger than the 30 to 50, or rather 30 to 60 $1,000 payment in lieu. The fallout of this is that even though Sagamore has agreed to a requirement of 20% affordable housing, and certainly we think that change in language is a step in the right direction, but notwithstanding that shift in wording, the developers and its successors could, consistent with the CBA, make only about 5% of the proposed 53 units of housing affordable to families at 80% or below AMI. Moreover, in the first phase of development, the developer could build only a fraction of that 20% while paying nothing at all into the payment in lieu fund, because the offset would exceed the payment in lieu required. Second point relates to what we mean when we say affordable. Okay? Almost all, 85% of Sagamore's 20% affordable housing commitment is for households making 60 to 80,000, or rather 60 to 80% of AMI, or $50 to $67,000 for a family of 4. That's more money than half of our city's households make. The CBA offers very little to the full quarter of our city whose incomes are closer to 30% of AMI, around $25,000 for a family of 4. In the agreement, we're looking at 10% of the set aside, or 2% of all units could potentially be affordable to those in greatest need, with the greatest need, and only if the developer receives additional subsidies in the form of vouchers. So what that tells us is we're not hearing from the developer today that they're willing to put any of their own money on the line or use a portion of the TIF to subsidize the development of housing for those of us, the quarter of our city that's earning close to the poverty level and needs the housing the most. Third,
Too much.
as you heard, up to 40% of the 20% affordable housing set aside could be off-site, and there's nothing to prevent it from being concentrated in areas that are already poor, further worsening the segregation of our city. Flip side of that is ultimately only 12% of units on-site have to be affordable, barely above the 10% figure that the committee spoke out against when we last were here. Again, our vision, the vision that the council has discussed, is for Port Covington to be a truly inclusive community that includes Baltimore households from all walks of life, and when we're talking about a 12% set aside on site, that's not the same thing. Okay,
I'm
fourth.
going to ask you to wrap up, please.
Yep. Okay, I just have 2 more points. Thank you very much. Fourth, we don't see any commitments regarding the unit mix in the development that would ensure that it's family friendly. The MOU anticipated that the development would include 60% of units that would be 1-bedrooms or efficiencies. Sagamore has not committed to making any of its affordable housing units 2 or 3 bedrooms. So even those that are created will not serve our poor and working class families. As we discussed, mission should drive design, and if Sagamore is committed to serving families in the city, it can commit to designing a more family-friendly unit mix. Finally, the CBA does not commit Sagamore to distributing affordable housing, that 12% that potentially could exist on site throughout the development, even though we know that this is something that has been done in other cities, could be done here. This means there's a very real possibility, because it's the path of least resistance, that whatever affordable units are developed at Port Covington are all concentrated in one or two buildings. That's not the model of integrated housing that the city or the council should support. So we at Port 3 and at Build Up, we appreciated the opportunity to sit down with folks across this table and negotiate. And we appreciated that Sagamore did listen to our concerns around affordable housing and other issues. That's important. But, you know, I'm here to say that just listening isn't enough. We like to see meaningful commitments on affordable housing and in the other areas you'll hear about, particularly when you're talking about over $500 million public investment. So we've submitted amendments to the council on a number of these issues, and we look forward to working with you to get them passed.
Thank you. Any members, any comments, questions from council? No? Thank you. We're going to ask, so you won't get the benefit of, thank you. We're going to ask that folks limit their comments to 3 minutes. These are the persons that we will ask. I know. Right. These are the persons we will ask to speak, and then we will actually move to a voted session. So that would be Marceline White, James Williams, Roxy Haberkian, Kim Trueheart, Elder C.D. Witherspoon, Sharon Blake, Travis J. Robertson, Lee Patterson, Frank Patinella, and Anthony Williams, in that order.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Chair, members of the committee, thank you for having me here. My name is Marceline White. I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Consumer Rights Coalition, MCRC, and I'm also a member of the Port 3 Coalition. MCRC has about 8,500 members across the state and more than 1,000 in Baltimore City. I'm here to talk to you about something around the city's council's role. My colleagues are going to talk much more about some of our remaining concerns with the Port Covington agreement, so I will let them do that. What I'm here to do is talk a little bit about fiscal responsibility and transparency and what the city council can do today to ensure the strongest possible agreement going forward with Port Covington, and tomorrow and the next day to ensure the strongest possible transparency and inclusion in other TIFs and other kinds of development like this going forward. Briefly, in terms of fiscal responsibility, the first amendment, and I did submit some language to Councilman Stokes, and I think Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark has also seen it. The cost overruns should be paid by the developer. We are offering a very large tax increment financing package. We appreciate the work that Sagamore has done in terms of addressing some of the concerns, although certainly not all. But we can't continue to have cost overruns. So we believe that any cost overruns should be the responsibility of the developer, not of the City of Baltimore. Secondly, and I think importantly for the City Council, is that the tranches of funding should be tied to progress both on the Port Covington development itself, as well as the education, housing, and workforce agreements that they have negotiated. I've briefly gotten to look at the new MOU. I've not been able to read it in depth given the time, but I do understand that they are already going to be reporting out some hiring commitments, and my understanding is they're going to report out some inclusion commitments. What we strongly urge is they report out all of the citywide community benefits agreements and progress, that there are metrics developed before the second tranche of funding, so you can see progress going forward over the 30 years, and that the City Council weigh in. The City Council receive an annual report of all of the progress, including the citywide benefits agreement, and the City Council be able to offer a recommendation or report to the Department of Finance before the tranche of funding is secured. This gives the City Council some role and some ability to participate in the ongoing agreement once it is signed, and some role in making sure that the funding reflects what is also happening for our citywide benefits agreement as negotiated. There's more detail in here. I'm trying to keep to the 3 minutes. Going forward, there are many recommendations, and I've noted many people on the council were part of the discussion, including Chairman Stokes, of tax increment policies in 2011. A lot of these recommendations are to actually implement those policies, and I think sooner rather than later. Some are simply that there be strong economic and quantitative analysis before a TIF is negotiated. That includes the but-for analysis. It includes a fiscal impact by an independent third party who is looking at issues like city services, impact on the budget, bond rating. I go into detail. It includes lessons learned and best practices from the other TIFs we've done. What has worked in our TIF agreements so far? If there have been cost overruns, why? If we haven't met the agreements, why not? And then we look at those lessons learned and best practices and incorporate them in new TIFs. And finally, that there be transparency. I think at the last hearing I mentioned the City of Chicago's TIF website. For the city to be able to engage, for us to move forward in the 21st century, we should have a citywide discussion at the beginning of these discussions. That website talks about what the TIFs are, allows people to engage, allows people to see the discussion and participate, and it's very clear and transparent. We would ask for that, as well as these quarterly updates and annual reports, and the creation of an advisory committee for each TIF that's negotiated involving stakeholders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I might mention, Ms. White, that I think that third-party accountability should not be paid for by the developer. Actually, I think one of the shames, frankly, of this is that we did not do a third-party analysis of this whole project. I think it is frankly a dereliction of our duty. I take that on as the council committee chair, that we did not do that for the citizens of the city. Our brother, sister, Howard County, absolutely said we're not moving this TIF until we do a third-party analysis, and that's enough said on that.
Yes.
So that's my small comment, addendum to what you've asked.
I appreciate it. I just think it's good public policy going forward for there to be
Yes.
an analysis separate from what is given to the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Stokes. Jim Williams, representing Build Up Baltimore, which makes up 167 labor organizations, faith institutions here in the city, and some community organizations as well. I as well am going to speak to the council. We appreciate the opportunity to sit across the table from Sagamore. We think we had some very spirited discussions around some really important issues, many of which pieces made into the MOU. But I'm here really to address the council and state that prevailing wages shouldn't be negotiated between a private developer and the community. It's the city council's duty to make sure that the investment in infrastructure protects the working class of Baltimore. We do not fault Sagamore for negotiating prevailing wages, but a developer will always try to get the best bottom line. That's their job. Just like labor's job is to advocate on behalf of working people. So I believe this city council should take a long look at a way to close these loopholes on wages, because it's only going to make developers come to the trough more, looking for public-private partnerships that are going to hurt working people in this city. In our negotiations with Sagamore, again, we had spirited discussions. We commend $25 million in a workforce training center, but the back end is where workforce development really begins. And that's when somebody has a job with good paying wages and benefits and working conditions. Again, we do not fault Sagamore. We fault the city council.
You're right.
These negotiations were difficult because we weren't just negotiating with Sagamore. We were negotiating with the city and Sagamore and ourselves. I want to make this very clear to this room that labor came together after the unrest that happened in this city, because we came together knowing that we can be a part of the solution, not the problem, and that people in this city need good wages and good benefits. And we do not want to see anything that took place in these negotiations divide labor from the community. And we give you our word that we will work harder and fight harder to make sure that we do what's right for Baltimore. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Birkin, just before you speak, Mr. Williams, first of all, thank you. Thank you for standing up for the working man and woman. Thank you for engaging the council, Sagamore, your partners. What you said is true. We appreciate that. In some small defense, members of the council did want to stand with you. We ran into legal pushback. You're aware of that, and that's just a small defense. Thank you for standing. Mr. Birkin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to members of the council for giving us this opportunity. My name is Roxy Herbecki, and I'm the president of Unite Here Local 7. We have a lot of Local 7 members here today. Our members are the ones who prepare your food, who make your beds, who serve you, who are your cashiers, who greet you when you check into a hotel, who help you with your bags. Our members are the folks that are going to be working when the place is built. And we have also participated in these discussions. I want to say that I'm really proud that Unite Here worked together with the organizations including Build Up, the construction trades, and all the community groups. I think it was a very, very good process for the entire city. We were frustrated with the negotiations because the following issues were not addressed. And those are the post-construction jobs. We support the issues that have been raised today with regard to housing. Our members need affordable housing. With regard to construction jobs, that's critical to setting the tone. But once Port Covington is built, there will be thousands and thousands of low-wage jobs. And when we've seen the presentation from Sagamore, it breaks down. It does the breakdown. The largest jobs are low-wage jobs. And we know from our experience of city development in the Inner Harbor and in various hotels that just because it's built and just because it sounds nice doesn't mean it's going to be good paying jobs. So we very much support the resolution that Councilwoman Clark has raised. We would ask that the council, even now, we don't have the full agreement, it sounds like, to review, that we do what it seems that Council Member Stokes is offering, which is that the table stay open and the negotiations continue to try to address the issue that is going to be so critical in about, 5 years with regard to those jobs. I think members of the council have heard organized labor say time and time again that what's going to bring development to the rest of the community is when people can pick up a decent paycheck, take it back to their neighborhoods, spend their money in the local businesses, give money to their kids for milk money, give money to their churches to pay their tithes, and really have a real life. So we have a genuine concern about the jobs going forward. We are in support with the housing and the consumer community, and I thank you for the opportunity, and I would hope that maybe we have some time to review the MOU before it's approved today, and that there be some opportunity for continued discussion to address these very critical issues that have been raised today. Thank you.
Thank you. Where's the list?
Here's the list. Can I give that back to you?
Thank you. Begin, please.
Thank you, Councilman Stokes, and City Council. We had submitted to you.
State your name, please.
Oh, sorry. My name is Anthony Williams. I'm a member of Housing Our Neighbors, and I'm also the co-chair of Port 3. We submitted to you a bill, Housing Our Neighbors, and we would like to see that bill go forward even more. We put a lot of hard work. You don't see the homeless folks at these tables, hardly ever, and that hurts. It also hurts, though, that when we get to the table, that the truth doesn't really come out. And I'm going to say clearly that when we were at the table with all of you, we did not walk away from the table. It was the demands that you put on us that we had no choice. You gave us an ultimatum when we were at the table, that take this deal or leave it.
Speak to the committee, please.
Yeah, take this deal or leave it. And we stayed at the table, but we went back to our coalitions and we talked to all the coalitions. I'm quite sure you probably have a list of all the names of the coalitions.
I do.
The next day, we were supposed to meet with Sagamore at 3 o'clock, right? But our coalition, and I came to City Hall and there was no meeting, it was canceled. You know, meeting was canceled when I came to City Hall, okay? For whatever reason, that happened. I want to make it clear that the housing piece is going to hurt us really bad, because that was the whole point of us submitting this piece of legislation to you, so that we could have a firm, solid housing, affordable housing for the most vulnerable people in this city. I don't know where to go from here as an individual, but we do have a coalition. And I would hope that the City Council honors our hard work and everything we put into addressing this issue with Sagamore.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Reverend Witherspoon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and I sit across from someone who I respect a lot, Bishop Douglas Miles. With that being said, Mr. Chairman, 2016 is the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's campaign for public housing, where he took his family from the city of Atlanta and he relocated them to the slums of the city of Chicago. And he did that for the purposes of shining a glaring light on the issues that people experience in public housing. He wanted to shine a light on the socioeconomic issues that working class people and poor people and people of color experience on a daily basis. Dr. King's work led to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, and it was signed in his blood. Section 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 specifically pertains to the Fair Housing Act. The Fair Housing Act was articulated so as to ensure fairness and quality housing for all Americans. In 2005, there was a ruling that took place, Thompson versus U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And that was a lawsuit that was filed because public housing residents because black people and brown people and poor people and working class people in this city were being discriminated against in public housing. That was taking place on the federal level and on the local level. When I look at Port Covington, and I understand the deal that has been made, but when I look at the loopholes, I'm reminded of what Dr. King said when he referred to an island of poverty and a vast ocean of prosperity. What I see is an ocean of prosperity. Right there, in the middle, there's an island of poverty. And I want to encourage Sagamore and the City Council and all developers who come into Baltimore City not to forget about poor people, not to forget about working class people, not to forget about black and brown people as they seek to move this city forward. Because we are aware of the effects of gentrification, and we have seen them firsthand, and we've seen how it affects voting power of poor and working class people and people of color in this city. So I want to say that I actually applaud Port 3 and the coalitions that have come together, because I think that they've challenged us to do something that we never ever should have had to do. A deal like this should have never ever been presented to the City Council. And it never should have had, because it was filled and riddled with the segregation that fills our communities today. When you look at Sandtown, where I live, it has proliferated with poverty, it has proliferated with unemployment, it has proliferated with drugs and crimes and violence. When you look at East Baltimore, certain parts of this city, it has proliferated with the same amenities. But Port Covington won't experience those things. Harbor Point won't experience those things. And the various other developments that create the new Baltimore won't experience those things. So as they seek to gentrify poor and working class people out of this city, please don't forget about the people who built this city. Please don't forget about the people whose blood, sweat, and tears and tax dollars help to nurture the ground that this city sits on. Thanks so much, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend. Miss Black, Miss Black, Miss Black, Miss Black. Is there a
Hello. My name is Sharon Black. I'm representing the People's Power Assembly, and I'm also a candidate for the City Council presidency. I wanted to make a few points, but I think that I need to echo what Reverend Witherspoon said, and I'd like to take it one step further. What we're talking about here is not one Baltimore, but building an apartheid Baltimore, one that's divided on race and class. And that's a crime, frankly. The second thing I wanted to say is that, you know, you have to listen very carefully, because the devil is in the details, especially when you look at the housing part of this. I'm going to be very short. We only wanted to say two things on this. One, we would like to strongly agree with Mary Pat Clark's amendments, all of them. And I will motivate it personally and emotionally. I cannot understand how a billionaire like Kevin Plank wouldn't want to give people a livable wage, not just during the building of this project, but after it. I mean, we're just talking about more low-wage jobs. Kevin Plank's a billionaire, people, a billionaire. He can't afford to pay people a lousy livable wage. That's not even a good wage. I am retired now, but when I was a registered nurse, I couldn't even afford to live in this project as it's been presented. Secondly, the last part of it is on the question of profit sharing. The People's Power Assembly would also like to second what Councilman Stokes said. There has to be profit sharing. Once again, you got to say the same thing. How can this project take $660 million from the city, so to speak, and it can't even say that they're going to share the profits of a project like this? We've got to say no. I want to end up by saying no apartheid in Baltimore, no segregation in Baltimore. No Port Covington unless they provide jobs for all of Baltimore at a livable wage. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Patterson.
Good evening, and I'm pleased to be at this microphone and say what I have to say. I have to echo Reverend Witherspoon and my comrade Sharon Black as well. We do not want to see racist apartheid in Baltimore, because that's what this basically sounds like.
Mr. Patterson, I got to ask you to speak to the committee and to speak to the comments that you heard earlier regarding the MOU, please.
The point is that Kevin Plank was given $660 million when they cut recreation centers, they cut housing, they cut the people. They give money to a billionaire, they tell us that we're the moochers. The fact of the matter is that people need housing. Particularly the poorest or the most vulnerable people need housing. And it's not visible in this agreement. $1,200 a month is not affordable for a lot of folks. We have a hard time making it as it is. All these abandoned houses in the city should be the priority instead of Port Covington. All these abandoned houses, so much homeless people. But why is it that the most vulnerable of our population come last and the richest come first? Why is that? Why should kayak slips come before recreation centers? We don't want to see the rich predominate in this city. We're tired of that. This drop in the bucket agreement, this trickle-down nonsense. It's time for that stuff to stop. We're too smart for that now. What you got on your hands is another possible rebellion if things don't straighten out in this city. Another rebellion can recur. We have to have equality, and we have to have decent housing for poor people everywhere in this city. When people don't have housing, people are in trouble. Housing is health care. It's time for us to stand up for housing and not for billionaires. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Paff, now that's an outside voice. Thank you. We're ready.
Oh yes, my name is Travis Robertson. I'm a law student. I want to know where is the real true partnership? $100 million is good, but it's a drop in the bucket. It's not enough. Civil unrest, civil disobedience, and riots are the cries, paraphrasing what Dr. Martin Luther King said. Civil unrest, civil disobedience, and riots are the cries of the sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's the cries of the oppressed, distressed, and the oppressed. Where's the true investment in uptown? You investing in downtown, but where's the true investment in uptown? Where's the true investment in Penn North, Sandtown, Park Heights? Where is the true investment in the poverty? You want to talk about a TIF? What about the poverty? I don't see Pete Walsh here. What about the Popperton Rehab District? Where is that TIF at? Where is that TIF at? It's like y'all want to invest in what you want to invest in because y'all got your hand in it. But if y'all don't get it together, if y'all don't get it together, blood is going to be on your hands. For y'all that are staying in office and for y'all that are leaving office, the blood is still going to be on your hands. 68% of Baltimore is brown people, black people, African American. So I hope 30% of these jobs go to African Americans because they are the ones that need the opportunities. They're the ones that need the opportunities. It's shameful to see and I hope I don't offend no one, but I'm going to say it. It's shameful to see 20, 30 Hispanic men walking up the street from the University of Maryland site, but you only see 3, 4 young black men walking up there. So I hope that's not going to be the case concerning Sycamore, whatever it is, and Under Armour. Quality schools with air conditioning and heating matters. Community development matters. Economic development matters in the African American community. Housing for young mothers matters in the African American community. Housing for the homeless matters. How can y'all go in your offices every day and you see people sleeping in tents and laying right in front of y'all? Would y'all lay out there on the street like that? No, you wouldn't. Because Jack Young, you got your $75,000 salary, and all y'all just got a pay rate of $66,000 a year. So y'all really don't give a damn about the people. We need Under Armour and Sagamore to invest in housing for the homeless and young mothers, and those are waiting on lists. We got all these houses in the city of Baltimore, and you mean to tell me you still got people on a waiting list to get housing? Shame on you, City Council. Shame on you. There are vacant houses in this city owned by HABC and slumlords. Give these houses to young mothers on these waiting lists, create a dollar program, and help these homeless people get off the street. I think a dollar house program needs to be put in place ASAP, not when y'all want to meet again at another dog and pony show, but something that's
Mr. Williams, I gotta ask you to wrap up, please.
I'm gonna wrap up, but don't deprive me of my
I need you to wrap up.
Don't deprive me of my constitutional
Robert said,
right.
I'm sorry,
Don't
Mr. Roberts.
Don't deprive me of my constitutional
Okay,
right.
I need you to wrap up.
I think you heard me when I said before, I am a law student.
A long time ago.
Don't deprive me of my constitutional right. You want a lawsuit? Do you want a lawsuit? Don't play with me. I'm not the one.
You have 60 seconds.
Let me talk.
You have 60 seconds.
Let me talk. If you deprive me of my
You have
constitutional
60
right,
seconds.
I will go up to you at district court, and I will sue your ass in court. Don't mess with me.
Thank you.
Don't mess with me. Okay? You got the wrong
Ms.
one.
Trueheart.
You got the wrong one. You got the wrong one. Okay? I will sue your ass in district.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't know where I stand on this deal.
Okay.
And because I have not seen this document that you claim you're about to vote on, I'm sort of concerned.
Okay. For the record, you are?
I am Kim Trueheart.
Okay.
I am a native Baltimorean. I am a very active citizen. Let's talk about the fact that Baltimore City currently has 84,000 children attending schools. Those children have been undereducated and underserved for a long time. And so this development deal ought to benefit them, okay? It ought to benefit their future. I haven't seen or heard much that's gonna make their lives better. But I want to propose something that I handed out earlier, which is a proposal, which is for under $1 million to strengthen the role of parent-teacher associations. This hearing demonstrated something to me very important, and that is the importance of organized money and organized people. They got power. We can look around this room, the organized labor, the organized pastors, right? They got power. And they came to the table, and I applaud their work to get what they wanted. But what about all those mothers and fathers who are struggling raising their children, who aren't organized sufficiently to have power at this table? They need to have some assistance. I don't think that what I've proposed is unreasonable. I think it is something that is doable. We need to organize parents to take care of their children, to be more active in the lives of their children, and this will help us do this. I've communicated with a couple of organizations that are involved in the lives of our children, and they have agreed to help and support this. They will offer training, coaching to parents to become active in their schools. They will be on the front line advocating for their children in every school in Baltimore City. The most telling figure that I can throw out here is that we have 181 schools in this city, and only 22 have active PTAs. 22 out of 181 is unconscionable. I think if we're going to develop Baltimore, let's develop the most needy, let's develop the neighborhoods, let's develop Baltimore truly, not just the waterfront. I ask that you not vote on this until the community gets a chance to see the details of this agreement. I'm very thankful that you have asked Sagamore to be receptive and open to additional discussions. I'm not going to blast you for what you said at the last hearing, which I could not attend, but let me do it anyway. I heard at the end of the video, as I was watching, you said the next morning there would be some negotiations, right? But you closed the door on those negotiations. And I am thankful that you've reopened them, because I couldn't attend the first or the second hearing. I wanted to be here, but now I'm here, and I would like the opportunity to discuss this proposal. One last point, if I may. The plight of our homeless is a critical, dire problem here in this city, and I would really like for Sagamore to consider some little initiatives to kickstart Baltimore City's homeless services program that will help them get started on building some housing for the homeless. You can't come up with a percentage of income that these folks would be willing to support in building affordable housing for the homeless, but just do some kind of project around maybe mini homes or whatever it is that looks at helping our homeless. We have nothing right now. Put something on the table for the Mayor's Office of Homeless Services and the Continuum of Care. They get $40 million a year, something you could do to help them to use your wherewithal. Let's do something and truly develop Baltimore for its most needy, not only the rich. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trueheart. All right, Frank Patinella is the last testimony this evening.
Chairman Stokes, members of the committee, and
Thank you.
Council President Young. My name is Frank Patinella. I'm the Senior Education Advocate for the ACLU of Maryland's Education Reform Project and Chair of the Baltimore Education Coalition. And thank you for this opportunity. And I thank Build and Port 3 and all the other coalition members and Sagamore for negotiating over the past few weeks. A few weeks ago, we sent a letter to City Council asking the Council to get a commitment from the House Speaker and Senate President, committing to holding the city school system harmless for any state losses due to wealth gains at Port Covington. And fortunately, they came through and gave their commitment, stating that they would work with the city council and city legislators on getting that done. However, the details, we're encouraged by this, but there are no details around that yet. We would like to see 100% fix, meaning that any wealth gain of the Port Covington properties will not impact state education funding to city schools. That would be great. But we don't have a guarantee there, and we had some conversations at the state level over the past couple weeks, and everyone is talking about a partial fix, meaning that if an Ohio model is adopted, they forgive 65% of wealth gains for TIF developments. So if that's the case, then Port Covington will still have an impact on state education funding for Baltimore City. We proposed some amendments, and I'm just going to repeat them here. We think these are very reasonable. This won't harm the development in any way, because we cannot bind the hands of the mayor and city council, future mayors and future city councils, to mandate any kind of spending on education to fill in any loss due to the Port Covington development. But we think these amendments are important because they would express and state the intent of the mayor and city council to fill in any loss that's not covered by the state, that's not forgiven by the state. And secondly, we want to see an accurate number at the end of the session at the state level, after the state has passed its budget, after they know what they're giving to the city school system. It's completely possible to parse out, to isolate what that wealth loss is, what that wealth gain of Port Covington, that impact on state education funding. So we would like to see that publicly reported. So we'd like to see an amendment to the bill that publicly reports that figure every April after the session, after the state passes its budget. It's possible to know what that education funding loss would be. So we would like to see that in the bill. And then we would like to see intent language stating that the mayor and the city council, using revenue beyond what's going towards the TIF repayment, be dedicated to any state loss in education funding. So this is intent language, it's not binding. We think it's reasonable. Over the past 2 years, I just want to repeat that the city has lost $17 million in state education funding because of TIF deals and other ways that the city has grown in wealth. And the city has not filled in the loss. So there's a reason why we're up here, there's a reason why we're concerned about this, and there's a good reason why we want this language in the bill. There's something called an adequacy target, and that's how much money the city school system should get per pupil funding to provide an adequate education to Baltimore City students. And this was defined because we filed a lawsuit back in the 90s, and as a result we got the new education funding formula, more money for the Baltimore City school systems, but we're still $2,000 short per pupil of that adequacy target. Right, and correct, and there's no AC, we're lacking AC and a lot of other things. So we want the city to play its role in meeting that adequacy target for education. And right now, past 2 years, we've lost money due to the wealth gains of the city. The city's not filling it in. We need more of a guarantee here. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Let me mention that the Chief Executive Officer of the Baltimore City Public Schools, Dr. Sonia Brookins Santelices, actually called me about 4 weeks ago about this issue, and today, on behalf of the school system, the board chair, Marnell Cooper, and Dr. Santelices. I won't read the entire letter, but dear Councilman Stokes, in my capacity as Chief Executive Officer of Baltimore City Public Schools, I want right to express City Schools' support for proposed amendments the City Council Ordinance 16-0669 to ensure that the students of Baltimore do not lose education funding due to Port Covington development. And it goes on to speak to some of the matters that we just heard. As I stated early, this is one of the things that I will stay on the wall around, along with the second one. I want to thank everyone for coming in this evening, and I thank you for all of the staying power that folks have given over the last 3 to 4 months. Really appreciate it. I also did hear, don't disagree, that this CBA, which is not yet signed, should be widely distributed so that the community at large is able to vet it. We've tried to maintain for city government an unusual amount of transparency over the last 4 months, and we should keep that window very open. I'm going to bring before us the bills that are sitting in front of us. This one last. Okay. So before this committee is City Council Bill 16-0669, which is the Port Covington Development District, which sets the lines of and the boundaries of this particular development district. I'm going to ask for a motion to move the bill favorably. Oh, I'm going to get to this. That's an amendment to this bill? 669. Oh, okay. Do you want it here? Councilman Henry is offering an amendment to this particular bill. It is actually. You second what motion? You second what motion? You asked for a motion, I moved, and she seconded. For the bill. You wanted to move the bill. Okay, I didn't realize that the councilman had this in front of me. Would you rescind that motion so that the councilman can, no? Okay. All right. I think we should give deference to the councilman. It was my mistake that I'm asking you to give deference to the council member. Okay. All right, we'll take the motion. I very much dislike being put in this place again. It is unfair, it's unethical, and it's immoral to continue to act in this way for a public body. Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that. Thank you. Councilman, would you speak to the amendment you would like to bring?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I won't speak long because Mr. Patinella from the ACLU just spoke very eloquently towards the amendments that they had submitted to the committee on, and so I am just putting them out there on behalf of the ACLU. On City Council Bill 16-0669, on page 6 after line 14, there are 3 paragraphs. Copies of this are in front of all members of the committee. As Mr. Patinella said, it's not binding language. It lists the intent that we as the City Council want to make sure that moving forward, the calculations of the impact of this project on any potential state funding for education, that those calculations are made as completely as possible and that the information is reported as openly and transparently as possible. I don't think that there is the desire for me to read it in its entirety, but I would move the amendments in just a moment when I have the full attention of all the members of the committee. So at this time, I would move these amendments on behalf of the ACLU, on behalf of the Baltimore City Public Schools, echoing Dr. Santelisa's expressed support on behalf of these amendments. And I am not in a position of speaking on behalf of the Baltimore Education Coalition, but in terms of previous comments that they made here in front of this committee on this matter, I believe that this would be supported by them as well. So I move the amendments.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion? No second?
Fails.
I will second my colleague's amendment.
Mr. Chair, since there was no second, I move the bill.
Thank you very much. I seconded the amendment.
You did? Okay.
So we'll take a motion on the amendment first. We'll take a vote on the amendment. So the amendment is before us. Councilman Stokes, I will pass on the amendment. Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Branch? Pass. Councilwoman Holton?
No, I believe this is a state issue to be taken up, and as we discussed before, having to deal with this is beyond the purview of what we can do. My vote is no.
So no. Councilman Reisinger?
Mr. Chair, I echo Councilwoman Holton's comments, and my vote is no.
Thank you, Mr. Reisinger. The motion fails for lack of a majority. We will have the bill before us now. Is there a motion to move the
move? Move.
Second.
The bill before Councilman Stokes is a yay. Councilman Henry? It's the bill.
What did he say? What happened?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to explain my vote.
Yes, you will. Go ahead.
So at this time, I'd like to read from a prepared statement. But I don't actually have a prepared statement. It would be easier if I could read from a prepared statement, but instead I'm going to look out at all of you while I'm talking. I was told by one of my colleagues yesterday that I am looking for a reason to say no to this project. And I want to say here in front of everyone that that is not true. I am not looking for a reason to say no to this project. Over the span of the last several weeks and months, several people have given me plenty of reasons to say no to this project. Don't clap yet. You're premature. Okay. Many of the reasons that I have been given at one point or another to vote against this project have, I will be very honest, have been addressed in the course of this community benefits agreement to my satisfaction. However, I cannot at this point say that all of my concerns have been addressed. And as many people have said today, one of the things that is a new concern right now, I received a copy of the MOU a little over 24 hours ago, and I have had a chance to read through it. I am still a little uncertain as to how some of the wording in the MOU matches the summary of the MOU that I was also given. I would like to have time to get further clarification, and I believe that time could be used to share the MOU with more people. In my preferred way of dealing with this, we would not vote this out of committee tonight, but that does not seem to be an option. So my vote on this bill would be a pass, and I would hope to learn more before second and third reader on the bill. I would also hope that there would be further opportunity, as the chair spoke to make additional changes and find additional ways toward assuaging more, if not all, concerns before we make a final decision on this legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman Branch. I'm sorry. Pass. Councilwoman Holton.
Yes.
Councilman Reisinger.
Yes.
Three yeas to pass. The bill will move the second reader on Monday evening. Pastor Calhoun, did you come for benediction? We may need you sooner than benediction.
As long as it's not last rites. As long as it's not last rites.
No, I gotta have my priest for last rites. Hold on. We have before us City Council Bill 16-0671, which is the Port Covington Special Taxing District.
So moved.
This will. I hear you. This will allow us to actually tax or collect the special tax from the district.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion to move and second. The bill is before us for a favorable vote. Councilman Stokes is a yes. Councilman Henry is a pass. Councilman Branch is a pass. Councilwoman Holton
Yes.
is a yes. Councilman Reisinger
Yes.
is a yes. Thank you. That bill will come before us on Monday evening at 5 o'clock. The chair asks for a motion to recess.
Object, Mr. Chair. Object.
It has been properly moved and second that we move to recess. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Oppose.
Opposed.
Okay. We move to recess. I'd like to talk to my president.